I think it's very important that the European Parliament leads the way in turning the debate from immediate crisis management to helping our businesses and people through the recovery. And this is, I think, the task we have in these weeks. The outbreak and spread of the pandemic has changed our economic outlook dramatically. It was already fragile before the crisis due to downside risks, but it is now clear that a deep recession in Europe is unavoidable this year. As Valdis said, we will present in the 7th of May our spring forecast. We can have as reference the IMF latest World Economic Outlook, giving for the global economy a negative shrink by 3%. And by the way, this is also the reason why I think 100 and more countries are asking access to IMF support. We will have a very sharp contraction of EU GDP in 2020, worse than the one during the global financial crisis, and our numbers will be of an order of magnitude similar to this latest IMF forecast, which foresees that the euro area will contract, as you know, by around 7.5%. This is the IMF forecast. The shock we are experiencing is both symmetrical and external. It is clear that it is unprecedented for its disruptive potential. It is also clear that it requires unprecedented and innovative response. The crisis affects us all, but according to the picture emerging from the forthcoming forecast, it will have a markedly different impact on our member states, as Chair Tinagli just said before. GDP will fall more sharply in some countries than others. Also, the extent of job losses will be diversified. Everywhere, the crisis will increase unemployment and social and economic divides between those who have secure jobs and good housing conditions and those who are less protected. In aggregate terms, member states have so far provided a fiscal stimulus of more than 2.5% of GDP and liquidity support amounting to more than 20% of GDP. However, these figures hide a wide and potentially disruptive divergence. These are certainly to do with the fact that some have been hit harder than others, but it also has to do with different fiscal capacities to use discretionary measures. These may go from only 1% of GDP on average in 2020 to 3% of GDP, the divergence of the response with discretionary measures. The same applies for liquidity measures, where differences among member states may go from 7% of GDP to 18% of GDP. Such divergences put at risk our common good, which is the internal market. An unlevel playing field and a fragmented internal market resulting in increased divergences in living standards are in nobody's interest. The role of the Commission, the first stage of the crisis, was to facilitate action by member states, notably, as it was said, via the activation of the Stability and Growth Pact General Escape Clause and the adoption of the temporary framework for state aid. To help in the fight against the coronavirus, we have also reacted in the area of VAT and customs. We addressed the requests from member states and different stakeholders to lift tariffs on protective and medical equipment and to make sure goods and essential services continue to flow in our internal markets. To help people keep their incomes and keep businesses afloat, we put forward the proposal for the so-called SURE that will provide up to 100 billion in loans to member states to finance short-time work schemes and similar measures. Let me stress that SURE will not impact on national competencies, but will give support on top of national schemes. The Council is examining the proposal, and I trust the political determination of member states to make this instrument functional from June. Having said all this, I'm very well aware that all these initiatives, combined with those by the ECB, will not be enough. More is needed. I read very carefully the Parliament's call for a massive recovery and reconstruction package. So we need an unprecedented set of actions aimed at preserving the cohesion of our economy. First, it is vital to restore and deepen the single market. It is crucial to work on the sectors of the economy which are most exposed to the crisis. We need to do it with the right sense of urgency. Second, we need a Marshall Plan type effort to fuel the recovery and modernize the economy. If we are to restart the engine and turn this crisis into an opportunity, we have to invest massively in the digital and green transition. This will also make us less dependent by diversifying our key supply chains, and social sustainability will also be crucial in this recovery plan. Thank you.